maybe I'm recording a video.
What are you recording about?
It's about quarterbacks. It's kind of recording right now.
Hi, put this in the video.
Maybe I'll put it at the end.
Okay.
Hello, well, welcome back to the channel. We continue with quarterback school today. And today we'll talk about something that today we'll talk about what we call intangibles, things that you can't really see or touch, but they're there and they're important if you're going to be a quarterback. So instead of me telling you what I think is important, I'm going to look at 5 of the best to ever do it at the quarterback position. And we'll talk about what they say are things that you must have within your mindset if you're going to be a great quarterback. So let's go to QB school intangibles. Okay, as we go to part 8 of quarterback school, the things that set you apart as a great quarterback are what we call the intangibles, things that you really can't coach, but you can learn and you can think about and you can process. And instead of me telling you about the intangibles, let's talk to 5 of the best quarterbacks that there have been or are and see what they have to say about it. So we'll start with Russell Wilson, one of the greats right now. He's been doubted his whole life because of his apparent lack of size, under 6 feet tall. He says, "My height doesn't define my skill set. To be a great quarterback, you have to have great leadership, great attention to detail, and a relentless competitive nature. And I try to bring that on a daily basis." So his skill set, yeah, he's a great thrower, but these 3 things, great leadership, attention to detail, and relentless competitive nature is what he's going to bring every day. As we watch him here, again, just a guy that makes plays. He brings that attention to detail. He is a technician of his position. He has great footwork, great mechanics. He knows the offense is inside and out. He knows the defense is inside and out. All the little things he can take care of in that area, he does, and attention to detail. And he is a competitor. And that's something you need to learn to be if you want to be a great quarterback. You have to just be willing to compete no matter the circumstances, no matter the score, whether you're ahead, whether you're behind, whether it's practice, whether it's 7-on-7, be a competitor all the time and be relentless. All right. And then the last thing he mentioned is he does it every day. All right. He brings it every single day. You must be consistent. If you want to be the leader that he is, you have to do it every single day so your teammates will believe you when you speak up and when you demand more out of them. All right. So a great example is Russell Wilson. Okay, if you're younger and maybe not a football historian, you may not have heard of Fran Tarkenton, but a great quarterback in the 70s, and he also was a little undersized. And he speaks a lot of making his teammates better. He says, quarterbacks, I think greatness in quarterbacks is taking whatever you've got, whether it's a great team, a good team, or a struggling team, and making them better. And he's not sometimes thought of with some of the greats because he didn't play on great teams with Minnesota. And it wasn't a time where you got traded or became a free agent. He stuck with the Vikings almost his whole career, and they didn't win a whole lot of games, but he definitely made them better. Okay, known for his scrambling ability. There he is, number 10 right there. He's just a playmaker, and a lot of the plays that he ran with the offense that he was with that wasn't very good were broken plays, and he just turned them into something. All right, there he is turning a broken play into a touchdown. It doesn't have to always be that. He just scrambled around, made plays whenever he could in whatever way he could, whatever he can. And that's a quarterback's job, is you got to turn what's bad into something good. It could be a bad play call, it could just be a bad break. You need to do that with your teammates as well. They should raise their level of play because they're around you, because of the kind of person you did. And that goes back to Russell Wilson. The consistency that you bring will demand that they raise their level as well. And Fran Tarkenton did that as well as anybody. Okay, the next quarterback, again, is one that if you haven't followed the game for a long time, you may not have heard of Jaworski. He's now an analyst. They call him Jaws. But he was a great quarterback with the Eagles. And here's what he had to say. "The heartbeat of a football team is the quarterback position. And I think everyone who has any intelligence about the game understands that you must have consistency at that position to be a championship team." All right. So you can have a great defense, you can have a good running game, but you've got to have a consistent quarterback, and you've got to be that for your team if you want to be a championship team. All right. I've seen some teams that could be great, but didn't have consistent play. Now he didn't say you had to be a great quarterback. There have been some teams over the years, the Ravens, the Bucks, who have won Super Bowls without a great quarterback. Those quarterbacks were consistent. When they were called on to do their job, they did. They didn't turn the ball over, and so they could lead their teams to championships by being very consistent. And Jaworski was that for his team. The Eagles had some great teams in the 70s and early 80s. And again, you need to communicate with your quarterbacks coach and your coordinator and your head coach. What are they asking of you? What is your job? Yeah, your job is to be the quarterback, but what does that mean? All right. Do they want you to be a guy that completes 80% of his passes and throws it, all over the field? Or they want you to be just a guy that moves the chains. Find out what your job is and do it consistently, like Ron Jaworski did, and you'll be a great asset to your team. I would imagine you've heard of Joe Montana if you have followed football at all. And myself, I grew up as a young kid in the Joe Montana era of the 80s. He was a great quarterback with the 49ers, and they had some great teams. Went back and forth against the Dallas Cowboys. And he says, any quarterback that understands what the offense is really about is going to succeed. All right. So you have to, and he played for one of the all-time greats, Bill Walsh, who ran the West Coast offense, which has really kind of made its way into all passing games of modern times. But he understood the offense. He knew where the ball should be. He was a master of what the X's and O's were. If you watch Montana, was he a great athlete? He was a good athlete. Did he have a great arm? He had a good arm, but it was one of the all-time greats because he knew where the ball should be at all times, and he put it in the right place. There he is right there in the NFC Championship, throwing the ball to Jack Clark for a touchdown. There he is talking to his head coach, Bill Walsh. And again, just always knows where the ball should be. He's hard to sack because he will get the ball out every single time. Just one of the all-time greats, and he was an expert of the West Coast offense. So get with your head coach, get with your coordinator, and find out where they need you to get the ball. Get it, whether it be a huddle playbook, whatever. Be a student of your offense. Be an expert. Study other teams that run that offense. We've gotten to that on this channel a lot and get into it a lot more. But Joe Montana, a great example of a guy to watch. There he is, putting it right where it had to be. Looks like to Roger Craig right there. So Joe Montana, one of the all-time greats. And lastly, we have Eli Manning, and he, in my opinion, is very underrated. Has 2 Super Bowl rings on his hand. Overshadowed a lot by his brother, and I could find some great quotes from his brother as well. But let's see what Eli had to say. He says, I try to be a smart quarterback. I'm not the fastest or the best athlete, but if I can know what the defense is doing and stick to my job and what needs to be done, I can make the plays needed to move the ball and score. I think that's just a great example. There's a good chance that if you're watching this video and you're a quarterback, you probably are not the fastest or the best athlete, but if you know what the defense is doing, and that's what this quarterback school has been about so far, with reading coverages and seeing what they're doing. If you can do that and stay within yourself, stay to your job. Again, what is the job that your coach has asked you to do? Is that to be a gunslinger and throw it like Pat Mahomes? If so, good for you. Go do that. If that's not your forte, don't be that guy. Be the guy that your coach wants you to be. And that is what Eli Manning has done. I think a phrase I think of a lot is play within yourself. All right. He does, there he is throwing a curl route, and then his receiver turns it into a big play. Just use your skills, do what your coach wants you to do, and get the job done, and know what the defense is doing. All right. And he is one of the best at it. And really, like I said, perhaps unappreciated because he's the younger brother of Peyton. The Giants have been up and down. They do have Super Bowl victories, but they've also had some rough seasons. But I don't put that on Eli. He is just a great quarterback who knows where the ball should go. I love that quote from him. I think that's a quote for just about every quarterback should go by. So love to hear a comment. Who's your favorite quarterback? Who do you think has some great lines that a quarterback can use? What's some wisdom that you could pass along? I'd love to hear your comment or have your comment below. Hope you subscribe. We'll do more quarterback school. Next, we're going to look at how to break down an offense when you're watching on TV or on YouTube. All right. And we'll start with the Oklahoma offense. That's coming up next. Thanks for coming in, and we'll see you soon.